Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much, Eric. And thank you to the team. Teamwork makes the dream work. And so, yeah, I can't do anything without so many of you helping out, Karen behind the scenes with Randa, Eli as well, and the rest of our practice leaders, Sharon and others who step in. It's so deeply appreciated. My activity has, really expanded over the years. And you're going to see a whole lot more expansion this year, because in a very interesting way, I do respond to like collective crisis in a very generative, um, you know, and creative way, and so um, and this isn't new for me. Like when people are struggling, I'm doing really well, and that's on purpose. That's not an accident. Because when you're doing really well, I'm struggling, but I'll never let you know that, right? But this year, right, this is going to be some really different things, some new stuff happening, and I think it's going to be really, really fun to explore that. Beginning with the winter hours, which is something I really wanted to do. I wanted to do it last winter. I just didn't have the energy. But I hope this is something that, will be really nice and restorative, for folks if you join and sign up. But in any case, it's so wonderful to be back with you in practice um, as we enter into 2025, the dreaded 2025. I don't know what circles of folks y'all are connected to, but like the circles I've been connected to have been working for 2025 for a couple of years now. Like we got the word years ago, you know, about this year. So like I've been like mentally preparing and physically preparing as well. So I am ready for this. This is so much. It's like giving labor. It's like going into labor, actually like we're beginning to give birth to something, but of course it's not what we thought it was going to be, because real liberation work is never what you think it's going to be, because it can't be what you think it's going to be, because that's the realm of the ego, is prediction. And when you predict something, you can prepare for it and you can keep yourself safe, safe in certain ways, right? But the ego is trying to keep itself safe, right? So it's preparing, it's predicting, it has to know the rules, it has to know the boundaries, it has to know step by step what's going to happen. It needs to run a show. The ego loves to run a show. Moment to moment, minute to minute, right? What are the cues? What's happening? What can I look forward to? And that's not what's happening. Liberation is learning how to show up to the moment and to make a decision, right? It's about being creative, it's about being generative. It's about being wise and clear, right? It's about really deepening into this ethic of, this ethic of like real love, right? This love that says that everything deserves to be free, right? And so every choice is about getting people and things and beings free, right? And you make those decisions moment to moment, right? And so, yeah, we think about the future, of course, right? We think about the future, but we also we have to show up to the present and learn how to say yes to the second that's happening now, to the moment that's arising now, and to make the best choices moment to moment. Like that's how we get free, right? It's the moment to moment choice, a choice that helps to reduce harm, a choice that helps to reduce violence, right? Knowing that, like, yeah, we won't always be able to do that. We won't always be able to make the choice to reduce all harm and all violence, right? We won't always be able to make the right choice, right? And I think mistakes can be as important as getting it right? Particularly if we have the capacity to learn from those mistakes, right? And also having the capacity to, yes, say yes to what needs to be said yes to, but also to say no, right? To what needs to be said no to, and that means that we get clear about what our work is and what our work isn't, right? It means that we get clear about the relationships that we need to hang on to and stay engaged in, and learning how to let go of the relationships that actually serve no purpose anymore, right? Um, in a way, it's really developing this sensitivity of what it means to start a really long, hard journey, right? And when you're traveling, making a hard, long journey, you want to pack as light as possible. You want you want as little baggage as possible, right? And I think this is the space that some of us, including myself, are really moving through. It's like, last year we were cool, we were kikiing, we were homegirls, but this year, I don't know if we're aligning. 'Cause I don't need to be spending all of my time trying to convince people to get free. Like at this point, I'm like, you need to be on the same page. We don't have to be at the same sentence. We don't have to be like at the same paragraph, but we at least need to be somewhere on the same page. You may be a little further than me. I may be a little further than you, but we need to be on the same page, right? Um, I am talking to people who are about getting free, right? I'm not necessarily talking to people who get off on having the conversations on getting free, right? Or having the discussions about getting free, right? Been there and done that. Not that those discussions aren't important, but they become a distraction to doing work, right? And so much of that work is actually holding space and moving through this intense discomfort, doing the really important, profound kind of emotional labor, right? It's being in a relationship to our trauma and trying to make the best decisions to be in a relationship to that trauma, not pushing it away, not trying to bypass it, but in a way just trying to acknowledge and honor like the trauma, right? I mean, it's so many people are distracted right now. And it's not a judgment because this is samsara, the carceral state. Like that's how samsara drives itself is through distraction. Like of course, but there has to be balance, right? I have to survive, and I also have to think about what this ultimate liberation really is, right? Both of these are happening. That's what I call spiritual abolition. Like, yes, we're working to get free politically in this material world, but we're also working to get spiritually free. We're working to remember what we are, right? Because I'm trying to get the hell out of here, right? But of course, that's a caveat there because I do know I chose this, right? But when I'm finished, when I have fulfilled my commitment as a bodhisattva, then I am returning back, right, to a state beyond suffering, right? Um, but we can't get so distracted by everything, right? And yeah, and I love, don't get me wrong, like I have developed a real authentic love of the world, right? Of the silliness of pop culture, right? Don't get me wrong. I can kiki, I can drop it like it's hot, I can sashay, I can be in the world, right? I can be in the world, but you have to understand that like I also understand the illusion of the world, right? I can engage with with all of this phenomena and still have a deep sense that this phenomena is still this arising of space and emptiness and energy, right? That this is a dream, right? As the Buddha always taught, this is a dream. This is smoke. This is like, this is an illusion that we're trying to develop a deeper clarity of, right? So we can have fun and we can get free at the same time, right? Which is why I think yesterday I was like, oh, I want to play Mary Mary, and shackles, take those shackles off my feet so I can dance. Now, when that dropped in the South, we felt like that gave us permission to be holy in the club. And I remember I had a friend early on when this song first came out, this was part of his drag act. And you never like I wish that like you get to be around Southern queer people who were raised in the church, right? And who struggled with the church and with Jesus and with God. And then when we started coming of age, how we did this work to find a deeper love, in the culture of the church, while at the same time dismissing the parts of the church that got in the way of real health and balance, right? So when songs like this came out, we were just like, this is what church should feel like. We should be dancing, right? Like we should be having fun. We should be in community together. Like this should be joyful, right? And we were like, if they don't want us to drop it like it was hot in the club, they shouldn't have made it a club song. They could have did just what the elders used to do, just what James Cleveland and Albertina Walker used to do back in the day. They would just had to take that song and put some slow organ and piano music to it, and just it'll just be like, if they wanted just to sit in church and be quiet, they should have kept that club beat off of it. But like they knew what they were doing. Right. Mary knew that they were doing when they put that song out. But I love the lyric, right? Take these shackles off my feet, right? Take these shackles. As someone who has so intentionally and literally, in many ways, had to take shackles off my feet to dance. Like this song for me is such a call to practice freedom right now in the body, in our minds, in our speech, right? I can still be free in an unfree world, right? And that's what samsara really is like. You're not going to beat samsara at his own game. Like, so don't even try, right? The point of the work of liberation in samsara is to actually transcend samsara, not to fix it, you know? And so when I think about this song, when I think about, oh, take these shackles off my feet, it's like regardless of what's happening in this moment, I will dance, right? I will sing, right? The dancing and the singing, the movement, it's like spiritual somatic work because it helps us to process and move these really dense, heavy energies right now. You have to move this, like you have to shake it off. Another song from the church, Shake the Devil Off, right? And that's old school traditional. That's the elder song in the church. Shake, 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 shake the devil off. In the name of Jesus, shake the devil off. It's the same thing. It's like you have to shake, you have to move it, right? Like you have to like, I don't know, you have to twerk it, you have to shimmy it, you have to like, you know, bankhead it, honey. I don't know. I don't know what you're gonna do. You have to electric slide it. I don't know what your characteristic move is, but you have to be moving right now. Like you have to be dancing. You have to like transform, not necessarily transform, but move the energy. You have to flow this energy. And if you're just sitting, right, and just like and getting really like set in this energy, it's impossible to really be functional in the world, right? And this is personal experience because I, as an earth sign, my dosha is kapha, right? So I'm like water and dirt, which I'm just mud. My, my like disposition is mud. So I like to sit, I like comfort, I move slow, like, I'm prone towards moving towards what's cold, right? And I know that like I have to disrupt that, that like frequency by moving, right? And getting hot and just like, and laughing and playing, right? Even in the face of systemic collapse, you know, right? Which is, yes, terrifying, right? It is terrifying. And the movement, the dance, right? The laughter, and I hope we do this in community, pulling in community, it helps us to negotiate the moments as they arise, right? It helps us to meet these moments of like all the shootings that we keep getting, just like the silliness of all these politicians, the reality of fascism, right? Fascism, right? It's hard, it's solid, it feels impenetrable, right? It's rigid, right? And so what's the medicine to that? Like when something is too rigid, then you get loose, you get fluid, right? Dare I say you act up, right? Fascism thrives off of complacency, off of discipline, off of control and domination, right? And we meet that energy by saying no. Like, I will not just abide, right? Like, I will not just, I won't think, I will not start thinking that something is right or correct because someone in power tells me so, right? That sassiness. We talked about sassiness a lot, but like that, you have to get sassy, and getting sassy means that you will disappoint people, right? You will disrupt people, right? There are relationships that will be deeply impacted when we start getting real sassy and saying no, and that's okay, right? And even the loss of those relationships or the disruption of those relationships are things that we just have to mourn along the way, right? Because this is a moment of things falling apart. Things have to fall apart. All this work and prayer and practice we've been putting into like wanting a different world, but this is how you get there. It just doesn't happen. People just don't say, "Oh my God, like what have we been participating in? Oh my God, like why am I doing this? I'm gonna center love and care now. Like I'm gonna start really benefiting everyone. I'm gonna redistribute my wealth. I'm gonna do all of that's not how any of this works, you know. Shit has to fall apart. But we don't have to fall apart in the process, right? Like noticing how we have become so self-identified with systems, including like white supremacy, including patriarchy, including like ableism. Like we've self-identified with these systems, and when these systems begin to become disrupted, right? We have to understand that like that's not who we are. That's being disrupted. It's an expression of who we think we are. And there has to be a little bit of separation. And still, it may still hurt like hell. Like when these identities of privilege begin to be disrupted, it will feel like an actual death, an actual physical dying, a mental, emotional, physical dying, right? And even then, we show up and we just hold space for it. In the same way the Buddha and Buddha Dharma in general has taught, how do you show up to death, right? How do you show up to sickness? How do you show up to the suffering, right, that we all experience? How do you do that? When you show up and you offer the space, right? The gentleness, the kindness, right? And you mourn. Like you mourn everything that's being disrupted, everything that was done to maintain maybe these identity locations. You mourn all of that and you say goodbye. And then you open up and you breathe deeply and you begin to open up to this new version of what we are, right? This very new version of ourselves in our collective, right? And that's the kind of journey that, I mean, it's for me, it feels like it almost feels like you're just being like, I don't know, what's the word? Just like um you're being scrubbed, right? I don't know if that's the best word, but like you're just being stripped away. Layers are just being peeled off, like layer after layer, washed, right? Like you're being washed, you're being cleaned, but like it's a hard cleaning, right? It's even harder when you don't know how to let go of the person you thought you were, right? And that's a struggle that I see so many people stuck in right now. How do you let go of who you thought you were, right? Because the future, what's coming, and it will come, right? It's coming. I have no doubt. Not all of us are going to make it, and that's the other part of it, right? But what's coming is demanding that we shake these shackles off, right? Because to really get into this future world, we will enter into that door dancing, right? Not weighed down because you will have to give up that. You have to let go of all this shit that's keeping us planted and grounded in the density of this moment of the suffering, right? We have to let that go and start lifting, right? I think about, so much of these just the things I was taught growing up in church, my mother, whom some of you know and love. Some of you are beginning to go and sit with my mother as well on Facebook. My mother does her teachings on Sunday morning. You can go and look at it as Real Christian. But it's good though. It's Black liberation, teaching. But she used to wear this shirt. It was the Air Jordan like symbol, it's Jordan like reaching up and trying to dunk. And so that's like that which is a Nike symbol, but instead it would say Air Jesus instead of Air Jordan. And I was like, that's Christian appropriation. We know where that takes us in this country. But, it's like, air Jesus, like Jesus is going to meet us in the air. And that was always intriguing for me, that whole like sentiment that like Jesus will meet us in the air. And I would be like, so what does that actually mean? Right. Um, but now for me, in my like pseudo translation between theology and Dharma, which I don't really have any like, authoritative text to cite here, so I'm making this shut up as I go along, Um, and I just put it in a book, and once the book comes out, I just consider myself an authoritative, kind of voice in this. I don't know, this is what I do. I just think that if it's printed, like you're like an expert. Maybe I'm wrong. But anyhow, so I'm just creating this theology as I go along, but like now I understand. Now it's that like, oh, when I start letting go and moving through all the suffering, like I will start lifting. There's a kind of a spiritual, mental, emotional lifting right, that I start moving through. And as I lift, I am meeting these higher states of consciousness, right? Which those higher states of consciousness we can call God, Buddha nature, or whatever. And so we have to learn how to let go in order to lift, like to remember that we're beings that are fluid and changing and impermanent, not these static beings that are meant to remain the same, that we should be evolving. And I think that's one of the tasks that we get moving through the material world in a body. Like we are trying to remember our most ephemeral fluid nature, which is of course the nature of all phenomena, the nature of our minds. Like we're trying to remember that, right? But we can't remember if we are making spectacles and setting up altars to our suffering and to the trauma, right? At some point, we have to let things die. And this is what winter is. Like this is the season of things have died, and we are entering into this inner world. We're moving through the underworld. Like winter is about the underworld. We're moving through this moment, this experience of restoration, of healing, of resting, right? Because the spring demands engagement. Spring is awakening, and we have to be ready for that. More so than ever this year, we have to be ready, right? So we have to take those shackles off our feet, right? Which of course brings us to Medicine Buddha, as it always does. So again, welcome to Medicine Buddha. And for those of you who are new, thank you for being here. You always have to sit through a sermon, usually. Um, so we've made it through that. Congratulations. I have plenty more where this came from. And just as we begin our practice, this is indeed the practice of Medicine Buddha in Tibetan Minla Sangye, right? The great Medicine Buddha, the great healer, as I often call Medicine Buddha, the great healer, right? And we are calling in the blessings of healing, the blessings of Medicine Buddha and the retinue that accompanies Medicine Buddha, right? It's not just this Buddha, right? But it's all of the deities, the spirits that align with Medicine Buddha. These spirits and beings that are so much a part of many of our ancestral minds, right? The spirits, the deities of our ancestors have never left us. We just don't. We just ignore them, right? No. Believe me, I have known many Irish and Scottish and English people, descending from England who started doing spirituality, and they're like with the kilts, they're, you know, they're back on the aisle, honey, practicing ancestral magic, including myself, honey, so I get it, right? But don't be afraid of that. This practice opens up portals and channels of light. This isn't dark work. This is work of light. It's work of liberation, work of love. So what comes through, I just encourage you to trust what comes through, what connects to you, right? Because this is the blessing, you know. Sometimes it's not that like something shows up and heals us, but sometimes it's like we are just led, down this path to something else, right? That we weren't even expecting, right? And this is the I say the exciting qualities of this practice is that there's always a secret that's waiting to be revealed, right? There's always something waiting to be uncovered. And do we have the courage to say yes to that? Because you will change. If you're practicing and fucking with me, you're going to change. If I change, you're going to change. If you don't like to change, then I'm not the one, right, to deal with. right? If you just want a very straightforward, very like orthodox presentation of Buddhism, you're not going to get that. Listen, the Mahasiddhas didn't even do that. Like, how do we come off talking about, well, there's a classical way to do Buddhism? You know, I'm not going to get into it, but Talopa was out there, was way out there, like doing shit, that we don't know how to understand, you know. But like Dharma, particularly Tantra, which is this tradition, it's about meeting the moment and getting creative with the moment, you know. Um, like you don't have to do the same thing over and over and over again. Well, there's some things you should be doing over and over and over again, right? But in these higher states of practice, if you're sitting with me, it's like, I don't know if I've ever taught the same practice twice over all of these years. I'll go back and do very similar things, but like I have never been able to teach the same practice exactly like I taught it before, which takes a lot of effort for me to teach the same practice over and over again, which I've had to do with certain practices like Seven Homecomings. Like I have to stay in that, right? Because it'll turn into something else, right? But that's how I move through the world. I see potential and possibility, right? I'm always changing. I'm always making different choices, right? And I want us to be that fluid in our practice. I want you to have the confidence to make some innovations, right? Um, but let's get into our practice. Let's do it, right? We have our prayer sheet up, so you go ahead and put a prayer into that. We're going to do, of course, our mantras and so forth. But just allow yourself to just get settled as we begin. As I begin moving into practice, I offer deep appreciation to the lands that hold me, the lands of my ancestors, this land and the land of Africa as well. I offer deep appreciation to the lands that are the traditional lands of the Creek and Muskogee and Cherokee people. I offer deep appreciation to my ancestors as well as to all the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas, all the Dharma protectors, all the teachers and guides and practitioners who have made these practices possible. Deep appreciation to the Tibetan people who offered me permission to be a part of this lineage. And appreciation to my lineage as well, to all of my lineages. I offer deep appreciation to all of you who made this choice in your Monday evenings or afternoons, wherever you are in the world, to be a part of this practice. May this practice become the medicine that you need. And may you have the courage to ask for the medicine that you need in this practice. Not just sitting and saying, oh, I hope that I get what I need. No, it's just you ask. You say, this is what I need. And we pray to Medicine Buddha to pour the medicine that each of us needs. And that each of us leaves this practice with something that feels restorative and healing, that gets us through the week until we meet again. And so when you're ready, I invite you to, again, touch the seats, noticing the weight of our bodies, the seat rising to hold us. However you're sitting or lying or standing or moving, whatever you're doing, it's okay. Find your base, right? Find the base. and allow your attention to settle on that base. What's holding you? What's supporting you? Allowing your body to surrender as much as your body can. Of course, letting go of thoughts of the past, letting go of thoughts of the future, inviting yourself back into this moment, into this timeline, allowing the seat or your base to anchor your attention. And as you're feeling anchored, you begin to notice other things, right? And we begin to notice how we're doing, how we're feeling. You begin to notice the space around you. But we keep returning back to the anchor of the seat in the body, or any other anchor that feels more appropriate for you. Anything that feels neutral, grounding. The anchor is meant to tether us, to be tethered, which means that there's something like holding us. There's something that's grounding and rooting us. To feel that groundedness, that rootedness, and also at the same time feel fluid and open. So in my practice, I can feel the anchoring of the seat and the weight of my body. And that's just one experience. And then around that primary anchor, my awareness expands. So I can have a knowingness of other things that are happening around me as well as inside of me. But again, we're practicing agency. So if we can't be in the body or with the body, then we turn our attention to something that's more neutral, maybe outside of us, or anything that feels grounding. Of course, this is the practice of calm abiding. Well, a very advanced practice of calm abiding. So, where everything is being held within this field of awareness, not reacting, just noticing. And it's within this kind of expression that we begin to call in the presence of Medicine Buddha, as well as all the retinue that accompanies Medicine Buddha. And so we turn our attention to our first mantra, Om Minla Sange Kino Soha. Right? The mantra of existence, right? It's the seed syllable, as we would say in the tradition, the seed syllable that gives rise to all phenomena. And so with we drop that seed, and that seed begins to take root and it begins to grow and to sprout and offer this fruits that we would call medicine Buddha. Because all Buddhas arise from emptiness itself, and is the heart of emptiness. So we begin as we always do by chanting just chanting and then going to the mantra for 3 times, and then ending with an extended Om. Right? And as we chant, just allowing the mind to break open even more, right? To expand, to allow our awareness, our consciousness to expand, to hold all phenomena. And within that, Medicine Buddha arises for us. So let's begin, starting with Om. Sange no so Om Sange no so Om Sange no so Om. And just noticing any shift or change in this new space now that we've evoked Medicine Buddha. What shifted in your body or in the space around you? Just getting curious for a moment. And if this shifting feels better or feels restorative or feels good, then let's call that Medicine Buddha. So a few more moments here. So let's go deeper, moving a little deeper into the practice. So when you're ready, I want to shift our attention now to our backs, and particularly to the space right behind us. We focus a lot on what's in front, but we're going to shift our attention to the back tonight. And behind you, I invite you to call in to the space behind you all of your benefactors. You can move through the seven homecomings practice if you practice that and know that. If not, just imagining that all the beings who love you, who want you to be free and safe and well, begin to appear behind you. And as they begin to appear, like feeling the presence behind you, feeling that energy gathering and strengthening behind you. And as they're gathering, beginning to imagine that they're radiating this energy of deep care and love right into your back, right into the backside of your body. It's like becoming like something tangible, like a really soft cushion that you're leaning against or leaning back against. Imagining that radiance of care really beginning to support you physically and energetically. And as you imagine leaning back into this energy, imagine that this energy also begins to saturate your body, your physical body as well. And as you're being filled with this energy, allowing yourself to plug into this experience of being deeply loved and cared for. And you may be having thoughts or kind of struggling with these experiences of feeling unloved, uncared for, or you may be wrestling with just some past situations, right? Where you've gotten really wrapped up in the blame or not feeling like you're enough or something like that. And noticing that I invite you to actually sever that connection or that like tethering to that suffering and reconnect that line into the source of love and care that you're receiving from your benefactors. And those thoughts that we've been struggling with, these experiences, these memories, don't necessarily go anywhere, but they're just being held by space as we're leaning into and falling into this profound love from our benefactors. And again, allowing yourself to surrender to the care of your benefactors. And all these benefactors being, Buddhas, bodhisattvas, spirits, deities, angels, beings of light, ancestors, our beloveds, whom we've called their spirits into this space as well, like taking refuge in this profound care from all these beings who love us. Letting this hold you, saturate you, surround you in this moment. And as our bodies are saturated with this energy of care, we begin to imagine that some of this energy begins to concentrate right into our heart centers. And our heart centers begins to radiate with this light or just energy that's concentrating. And within our heart centers, we begin to imagine even further that medicine Buddha begins to awaken, to take form. And medicine Buddha takes on the form of whatever feels appropriate for you in this moment. Which expression of the great healer is awakening in your heart center? Of course, it can be the classical representation, iconography of medicine Buddha that we have and you can see. Or it can be anything, any representation that awakens. That awakening of medicine Buddha also begins to radiate back into your heart center as well as out into the space around you. And allowing ourselves just to sit within this as we move into our main mantra, which you will see in the chat box. Teata baconze ma baconze rasa sumu gate soha. And of course you can chant along or just listen, whatever feels just natural. Do what feels natural in this moment. Just let the medicine of the mantra, of the drums, the medicine of the medicine Buddha awakening for you, just guide you, lead you, take care of you. O te a taum begenze ma begenze razu sumungate soha. Te anda 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 begenze soa. Teanda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razuzumunga 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 soa. Just beginning to offer our prayers. And again, just calling the attention again of the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas, the Yidams, the Dharma protectors, all beings of light, all benevolent ancestors, all of the Madison Buddha's retinue. We call your attention. We offer these prayers to you. And we ask that you act with us and also on behalf of us to bring about the fruition of these prayers. I'm offering prayers for my stepson Jade, who is struggling with making decisions, prayers for my soon-to-be ex-wife and myself as we end our marriage. Offering prayers for my friend's son Colin. He has been diagnosed and dealing with a rare disease. He was hospitalized and is now in the rehabilitation facility. Offering prayers that I swiftly find a job that is suitable for me, and our circumstances. Prayers for my brother that he finds what he is seeking and experiences freedom. Offering prayers that I have the courage and audacity and faith to just start the things and let the invisible ones guide. Offering prayers for all those who are hurting and scared. Offering prayers for those without homes. Prayers for those who are sick and suffering. Prayers for Ella and Everett. Prayers for Kim and Gordon. Prayers for the world, its healing and wholeness. Offering prayers for me as I transition into a more healthy place and time. May I fully heal from the recent trauma I suffer so that I may help and heal others. Offering prayers for my mother accept help other than money to her Venmo or us moving in with her. Offering prayers for Millie the dog's imminent transition and for her humans who will grieve. Offering prayers for the ocean and all its animals. Prayers that I may stay in positivity and gratitude even as I feel the deep pain I suffered and transmuted. Offering prayers I am the best mother possible for Ara that he may become what we are supposed to be. Offering gratitude for spiritual friendships, offering prayers for an open heart and financial freedom, offering prayers for protection of Lama Rod, Rachel Wooten, Lama Justin, Miss Brenda, Aisha Ali, Reverend Angel, Karen, Sharon, Eli, etc., all the teachers. Offering prayers that for Miguel Ruiz may have a restorative and safe trip to Argentina and back. Offering prayers for my upcoming bone marrow biopsy, prayers for M and R to experience healing and freedom. Offering prayers for liberation from entanglements of the past. Offering prayers for my sibling Jay, may they be safe and protected as they navigate this world as a neurodivergent, gender nonconforming person. Offering prayers for Gaza, offering prayers for moving through making and burning and building bridges and loving with boundaries in our relationships that connect and cultivate deeper trust and honesty and reciprocal care and beloved community. Pray that our relationships be radicalized and our words and actions reflect, resonate, and practice collective liberation and care. Offering prayers for my livelihood, improving so I can take care of myself and others in my community and beyond with ease and abundance for us all to feel and be free together. Prayers for to my prayers to my search for community and career care, hoping to work in places and with people who cultivate psychological and physical well-being and safety while trying to dismantle and divest in these carceral, capitalistic, and oppressive systems and ways. Offering prayers for my sister, may her body be a place of love as she navigates several health conditions. Prayers for myself as I integrate new healing to my relationships with myself, land, spirit, and beloved community. Prayers for all Black and queer trans people as we continue to have the courage to be our most authentic selves. Offering prayers for my sister, her wife, and their 3 children with histories of trauma. Offering prayers for why may they have the housing resources support they need. Prayers for N's Auntie S, who is dealing with cancer. Prayers for S, may they have the resources and support they need. Prayers for me to make space for grief. Offering prayers for the people in Palestine, Syria, Lebanon, Sudan, Congo, and the Ukraine. Prayers for folks who are houseless and precariously housed, sex workers, and folks with chronic illness and disabilities. Offering prayers that please heal the disease of hatred and plague of fear mongering in this country and protect our trans and BIPOC and LGBTQ plus communities from hatred, violence, and bullying. Prayers for SG and their family whose mother just died. Prayers for all those in despair due to economic disenfranchisement, homeless, and for Casey with ALS and his partner Lavana, who should have more support. Offering prayers for the violence of who, offering prayers for the Vivian who is in the Bardo. Offering prayers, please help Tara in her dark night so she can get to the dawn in her next chapter. Offering prayers for assistance for AS so she can find housing to meet her needs within her budget and healing for her chronic migraines. We're offering prayers that Paulin Memorial Baptist Church pledges the budget so all the funds that help countless others in our community will be funded. Offering prayers for myself that I find a new path that feels both fulfilling and feasible. Prayers of gratitude for Lama Rod, Eric, Karen, Eli, and all the amazing people who make it possible for us to gather. And offering prayers for all genderqueer and trans folks in so-called Canada as we are heading toward new stressful elections. Offering prayers for my beloved dog companion Lily, who passed into the Bardo last week. Offering prayers for A&D to bring grace of compassion and forgiveness through a challenging transition period. Offering prayers for Eli, who is recovering from COVID. May her health and strength be fully restored. Prayers for release from the patterns of suffering that have led to the pain in my shoulder and neck. Prayers for all of us to experience calm abiding. Offering prayers for N and R healing and deep rest, recuperation, continuing to let the past go, continuing to surrender, trusting I will be guided where I need to do. Lama Rod, Dharma Keepers and all their wondrous teams, all beings in all realms and timelines to be free and to know peace, for abolition, all forms of carcerality. Asheo. Prayers for moving forward in 2025. Prayers for more clarity and wholehearted communication. Prayers for my work life. May I have work in whatever form it is that is deeply aligned and abundantly resources me. Prayers for my heart. May I receive the love and support I deserve for the liberation of myself and all of my beloveds. Offering prayers for my daughters and my grandbaby, my family, my dear friends. May their and my year be beautiful and abundant. Offering prayers for my friend Idris, who loves, brings joy, and supports so many. Offering prayers for my friend Stacy G, who has another long node biopsy on Monday. May whatever they find be either be cancer-free or treatable and curable. May she have all the support that she needs. Offering prayers for Maggie and her baby Francis, whose husband Dean died suddenly 3 weeks ago. Prayers for Liddy, who just got an unexpected diagnosis of metastatic cancer. Prayers for guidance about what this time is about for me, dealing with neuropathy, balance issues, accompanying ways that this produces anxiety and distraction. Offering prayers for my son, seeing many different doctors to catch up on exams he's put off. May all go well. May he get the rest he needs afterward. And for my daughter, her husband, as they work with their 2 kids on the autism spectrum. Prayers for Jeff, prayers for Sandy, prayers for June, Sharon, that she may open to care and support. Prayers for Mark and Kelly to get free. Prayers for Harley. Offering prayers for Jane, his complete healing from a terrible accident. Prayers for my Aunt Jenny as she battles cancer. Prayers for Tom as he faces surgery for a tumor. I ask for prayers and guidance for myself as I find my way through this year. Prayers for my body to receive the care it needs to heal. Prayers for density to lift. Offering prayers for Alice as she recovers from a stroke. For David as he recovers from a blood clot and staph infection. Prayers for my wife that she may be cancer free. That she may work with her anger and have what she needs. Continue to offer prayers for all of those who are lonely, who feel isolated, that they may find support and community. We continue to pray for the complete abolition of all systems of violence and harm that keeps us from remembering our most authentic state and being. We continue to pray for the liberation of all beings, that we may all awaken as quickly as possible. May this and all prayers be accomplished as soon as possible. May it be so. We offer these prayers to all of our benefactors, asking them to work on our behalf as we continue to work to bring about the fruition of these prayers. And as we enter back into our mantra, just for a few moments, we just release these prayers and return back to being held by our benefactors and Medicine Buddha. We begin again. O Teanda Umbeganze Beganze Ma Beganze Razumunga Soa 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 Teanda Umbeganze Beganze Ma Beganze 소아 제안다 옴비근세 비근세 바비근세 라스 수문가레 소아 제안다 옴비근세 비근세 마비근세 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 라스 수문가체 소아 제안다 옴비근세 비근세 마비근세 라스 수문가체 소아 제안다 옴비근세 비근세 마비근세 라스 수문가레 소아 제안다 옴비근세 비근세 마비근세 라스 수문가레 소아 제안다 옴비근세 비근세 마비근세 라스 수문가체 소아 제안다 옴비근세 비근세 마비근세 라스 수문가레 소아 제안다 옴비근세 비근세 마비근세 라스 수문가레 소아 제안다 옴비근세 비근세 마비근세 라스 수문가체 소아 제안다 옴비근세 비근세 마비근세 라스 수문가체 소아 제안다 옴비근세 비근세 마비근세 라스 수문가체 소아 제안다 옴비근세 비근세 마비근세 라스 수문가레 소아 제안다 옴비근세 비근세 마비근세 라스 수문가체 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 소아. As we prepare to enter into our closing stages of practice, we thank all of our benefactors, including Medicine Buddha, for supporting us, for blessing us during this practice. And we imagine that all of our benefactors who have been supporting us from the back, that they now begin to encircle us, like they're forming a shield. And imagine that they begin to dissolve into white light. And this white light becomes this bubble that's completely enveloping us. And that this bubble, this shield becomes protection for us as we transition out of this practice back into our worlds, our lives, our struggles. And the medicine Buddha in our heart center just dissolves into the light in our bodies, within our heart centers. And this radiance in our body also becomes an expression of not just healing, but protection. And we seal this bubble, this barrier of light around us. Taking refuge in this reality of being protected by all the beings who want us to be free. May we have trust and confidence that we are being guided and protected and led from here on out. So when you're ready, turning back to the seat, to your anchor, to your base, coming back into this timeline, this moment. Beginning to reawaken your body through simple movements, through whatever seems restorative for you. We turn our attention to our closing prayer. Shantideva's prayer from the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. We'll recite this 3 times. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, I always support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they pass away from pain, I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. Finally, may I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach unto the ends of space. And to really end, I know we're a little past time. I want to end just with a song I just wanted to share from one of my favorite artists, um, who's one of my favorite artists. I hope they become one of yours as well.